charity, tolerance, silence, study of Vedic knowledge, simplicity, celibacy, non-violence, equanimity in the face of material dualities such as heat and cold, happiness and distress. So we see that how here also again these qualities are being emphasized. As such, in one hand, we say that how Krishna Krishnam is the primary quality, which is very important. And then all other qualities automatically they come when a devotee tries to take shelter of the Lord. At the same time, many other places we see that other qualities are also very important. Yes, we have to take shelter of Krishna, but the part of taking shelter of Krishna also includes one trying to cultivate these qualities. Because trying to connect to the Lord and then trying to have these qualities, they go hand in hand. The more we have these qualities, that much we can easily connect to the Lord. More we connect to the Lord, then that much we can have these qualities with us. In Srimad Bhagavatam, when Neelmani is speaking this verse, Gunadikan Lipsit. So there also Neelmani says that how disciples should learn how to behave with superiors, equals, and juniors. And in the end, he says that anyone who knows this art of behaving with others, he'll be free from three ta. He'll be free from Adivoti place, Adidevic place, Adhyatmic place. That means, in a deeper sense, if one knows how to behave with living entities, then not properly behaving with living entities is the cause of Adibhotik, Adhyatmic, and Adidevic. Now, we can connect to the Lord by sound vibration, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, by chanting holy names of the Lord. But how we connect properly with the living entity? By the qualities, by these qualities which are mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. So in that way, we need both together. We need sound vibration, spiritual sound vibration by which we can connect to the Lord. And we need Vaishnava qualities by which we can properly connect with the devotees. Now, both they nourish each other. Our connection to the Lord through sound, it nourishes our behavior, it nourishes our relationship with other devotees. And our relationship with devotees, our behavior with other devotees, our dealing with other living entities, it nourishes our connection to the Supreme Lord. So that is why both are emphasized, that one also has to cultivate these qualities. In fact, if we see that why most of the people they don't have so much faith in spirituality, one of the reason is that they see some people, they may be spiritualist, but they may not be so good in behaving with others. So when people they see someone practicing spirituality but not exhibiting the Vaishnava qualities, not exhibiting these divine qualities, then they lose faith, because everyone actually naturally will connect to both. You know, how one can appreciate a person who may be chanting holy names of the Lord, who may be reading Srimad Bhagavatam, who may be a good devotee of the Lord, but then on other hand, his behavior is totally. And naturally, a person loses a faith that there is something wrong. How can be a proper devotee? How he can be a proper Vaishnava if he is not exhibiting these qualities? So it is understood, it is implied that someone who is sincerely trying to connect to the Lord will also sincerely try to cultivate these divine qualities. Krishna also in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So Krishna also in the Bhagavad Gita, when he talks about divine and divine qualities. So there also in divine qualities, Krishna is not talking about that he chants the holy names, he reads Srimad Bhagavatam, he worships the Lord. He is talking about how he behaves with others. how much sense control he has, how much tolerance he has, how much selflessness is he, how much merciful he is. So there also we see Krishna talking about these secondary qualities. So we see that how it is very important for a spiritualist especially to cultivate these qualities. Sometimes we see when a person is chanting holy names to the Lord and is not having these qualities, then he becomes a very bad example for people to see. And then people they lose faith in the process, seeing that if he is practicing this process and it is not helping him to have a divine behavior, if it is not helping him to have a divine qualities, then they feel that what is the need to practice this process. So naturally, people they have this natural expectation, and for us it is very important because we also consider and understand that how living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, and especially devotees are so dear to Krishna. So if we don't cultivate these qualities, then we will not be able to properly behave with devotees. And if we don't learn how to properly behave with devotees, then we lose the opportunity to please them. And then we lose the opportunity to please Krishna and have mercy of the Lord. So that is why a sincere disciple he works on both. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see that how Devarand Pandit, as far as his connection with the Lord was concerned, it was so nice because he was so much absorbed in reading Srimad Bhagavatam. His whole day schedule was reading Srimad Bhagavatam, contemplating on Srimad Bhagavatam, speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. So just imagine, who can be a more better devotee than Devanand Pandit, where his whole life is centered around Srimad Bhagavatam. But although he was so much absorbed in his connection to the Supreme Lord, but then he could not behave properly in protecting Srivas Thakur. And then that became offense. And we see because of his inability to properly behave with Srivas Thakur. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu later on comes, so Mahaprabhu tells Nityananda Prabhu that I will not go to his house. Nityananda Prabhu says, Mahaprabhu, you don't know this is Devanand Pandit. He just reads Srimad Bhagavatam, he speaks Srimad Bhagavatam, and when he speaks Srimad Bhagavatam, the people, the audience who hears the Srimad Bhagavatam, they get ecstatic symptoms. Can you imagine means what level Devanand Pandit must be having? That when he speaks Srimad Bhagavatam, the audience who is hearing, their hairs they stand on end. They start getting shivering of the body by just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Devanand Pandit. So Mahaprabhu, please go to Devanand Pandit's house. Mahaprabhu says no. Mahaprabhu says, I prefer to go in the house of a drunkard, but I will not go in the house of Devanand Pandit because he had offended Srivas Thakur. So we see that how someone may be a very great soul in terms of his connection to the Supreme Lord. And he is actually very advanced soul. It's not that he's not very advanced soul. But still Krishna is not very happy. Why? Because he is not properly behaving with devotees. And when we can properly behave with devotees, when we try to cultivate these divine qualities. If we don't cultivate these divine qualities, then we cannot serve. We cannot properly behave. So, same way as a disciple also, when one is trying to connect to the process, at the same time, if he actually genuinely wants to serve a spiritual master, then he has to cultivate all these qualities also. That is very important. And in the series, we were discussing these qualities. So we already discussed about cleanness, austerity, tolerance, silence, study of Vedas, simplicity, celibacy, and now we are discussing non-violence. So, Ahimsa indicates that one should not commit violence against any living entity unless one is aware of the subtle laws of karma, by which a living being enjoys and suffers. One cannot actually practice ahimsa or non-violence. So, this term ahimsa means not hurting any living entity. And among all things we see, we can please the Lord the most by giving pleasure to living entities. Among all things, we can give most displeasure to the Lord by displeasing living entity, by hurting living entities. Among all things that we do, most sinful is hurting living entities. And we cannot properly do so, as we were reading that how if one does not know the art of behaving with other living entities, then he suffers Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik, Adhyatmik. So Vedic culture is understanding that how every living entity is a part and parcel of Krishna and is very dear to Krishna. And I don't have any right to cause any harm to him. I don't have any right to exploit also any living entity. And that's why we see in the Vedic times how, like we hear that how the Vedic kings they were having such understanding about all living entities. So we hear about that how Rantidev, when he was fasting, so he was fasting for the welfare of people in general, and his fast was long for 1 year, and so he was fasting. And then now time came to break his fast. Now just imagine, if you have fasted for so long, and now time has come to break your fast, and then a big meal comes of prasadam in front of you, and that time somebody comes and says, "उसमें से मैं ले सकता हूँ क्या?" Naturally, so much anger will come, will it not? But he had so much respect for living entities that he was not angry. When Chandal comes, so he gives half of the plate. Another person comes, he gives remaining half of the plate. Then a dog comes and he gives some part, what was remaining. And then one person comes and he was feeling thirsty, and Rantidev was having only now 1 glass of water left. So that also he gives. Now just imagine if someone is in a situation like this, then naturally he becomes so frustrated, so unhappy, so angry, is it not? But Rantidev, after giving this glass of water also, he smiles. And he says, "My dear Lord, you are so merciful. People, they are tormented in this world by thirst, by hunger. But you have designed such a situation for me that now no longer I will be affected by thirst or hunger. Why? Because I will not survive only. You have created a situation that I will now die." But then all these personalities, they took the shape of demigods, that they were actually testing Rantidev. And Rantidev passed the test like this. We see in the Vedic life how much respect every living entity was given. Srila Prabhupada quotes about his own father, that for rats, his own father in the night, knowing that the rats will be hungry and they will tear the clothes in the shop, so he would make a khichdi and keep in the center. And then he would go so that whole night the rats can come and they can honor that khichdi. And so that they are also happy. Like this. See, modern culture is anyone is coming in my sense gratification, demolition, finish him. So modern culture is when they see rats, then rat killer, they will bring, and then they want to kill. But see, Vedic culture is not like that. When some disciples they asked Prabhupada, "Swamiji, so many rats are there, can we kill them?" And then Prabhupada said, "Why don't we kill you?" "Swamiji, but what can be done? We are making nice prasadam for the Lord and the rats are coming in between." And Prabhupada says, "Keep the place very clean. Rats coming is a sign that the place is not very clean. So why you want to kill it? You should clean the place." Like that. So we see that how even to such living entities, this is there that one should not hurt. That's why when Nagmuni saw Mrigari killing them half, Nagmuni felt, "My Lord, how much he will suffer, he does not know." Like that. How much he will suffer, he does not know. So we see that how these laws are very subtle, and any hurt done to any living entity, then that brings a heavy karmic reaction. Unfortunately, in the modern times, people they don't have this awareness and knowledge, and that's why we see such adulteration is there. People they want to mix anything, they want to cheat people like anything, and for them it does not matter whether their health goes down, whether their something happens to them, but they don't know that how Krishna is watching, and for causing any harm to any living entity, they have to suffer. Ahimsa means being very sensitive, being very careful that we don't hurt other living entities. Now, when we stay with devotees, then obviously we may not hurt them physically, but we may hurt them by our speech. We may speak something by which they may feel hurt, or we may hurt them by not being sensitive. Because sometimes you'll find those who are good devotees, they will not speak. But if we are not sensitive, but they will feel in heart that why he is doing like this, why he is behaving like this. So when we are with devotees, then we have to see that we are very sensitive in our dealings. We have to know who is where. Then accordingly, very respectfully, we have to deal with them because they are devotees. They are also paraphernalia of the Lord. And we also have to see that our speech is very respectful, our speech is very encouraging, our speech is very constructive. Otherwise, that also may hurt other devotees. So why sometimes our speech comes like this, or sometimes we may become very insensitive. One of the reason is if we don't have appreciation for that devotee in our heart. So modern culture is somehow or other our upbringing is like this, that mind again and again goes to the bad part of that devotee. Mind goes to the some shortcomings which that devotee has. So our natural absorption remains in that direction. That oh, he has this fault. Oh, he has this shortcoming. Oh, he has this weakness. But Vedic culture is, although in a conditioned stage, we will see both. We will see the conditioned side also. In the sense, we will see the bad part of a person also and the good part of a person also. But our focus should be on the good part of a person. And modern culture is that we see both and the focus goes on the bad part of a person. And this is one reason why relationships in Kali Yuga they are not sustainable. Why there are divorces, why there are problems, why people are unhappy. Because they are focusing on the bad part, they are focusing on the faults. They are not seeing their good qualities and they are not thinking about their good qualities. So what happens if our focus is on faults of others, if our focus is on the bad qualities of others, then that remains our absorption. And then what happens? We cannot have proper relationship with them. We cannot have proper respect with them. And without our knowledge, our speech may come out which may hurt them. Without our knowledge, we may become insensitive in dealings with them because we don't have that much respect. And and this is the reason why people are having relationship problems. See, if you want to see a person who should not have any fault, then that kind of person does not exist. See, even when Krishna came, Shishupal could see fault in Krishna also. But Vedic culture is that we learn the art of seeing good and we learn the art of thinking about the good qualities which he has. By this, what happens? Good qualities they come in us also, and by this, that person also is encouraged in his spiritual journey, and we are able to have appreciation and respect for him. But if we are otherwise, then that person feels discouragement. We have better relationship with him, and we also develop bad qualities. As Jesus says that if we see a bad quality in others, either that bad quality is there in us or it will come in us. So that's why it is very important aspect of even cultivating these qualities that first we learn to see these good qualities in others and we learn to appreciate these good qualities in others. This is one of very important aspect of cultivating these qualities ourselves also. So every person has good part and bad part, but then we have to see the good part. His Holiness Radhan Swami Maharaj makes a very beautiful statement. He says, our behavior, our speech, our action should be such that they bring out good in others. That means every person has good and bad. But if we speak, behave, and act in a way where his good part comes out, then that is good for that person also, because good part is coming out, he will make advancement. And that is good for me also, that I will have appreciation for him because good part I am able to see, and we will have a sweet relationship. But now, because people they focus on the bad qualities, bad part, that's why relationship problems are so many. Now, so many divorces are happening. So, if you ask any person who is getting divorced, why you are getting divorced? So he will say, अरे उसके अंदर ये कमी है, ये कमी है, ये कमी है. उनसे पूछो why you are getting divorced? And she will say, अरे उनके अंदर ये कमी है, ये कमी है, ये कमी है. So that means your whole focus is where on their shortcomings. And if you want to find a person who has zero shortcoming, that is not possible only. In our life till now, all the people whom we came across, we could not find a single person who was free from all the faults. Sometimes he may be free from all the faults, but then our conditioned nature is such that still we see the fault. It may be our mother, it may be our father, it may be our friend, it may be our teacher, it may be principal, it may be any relative. When we come close, we find सब कुछ ठीक है लेकिन सब कुछ ठीक है लेकिन this but comes everywhere, is it not? So how to live in such a society where we do see faults? It may be there or it may be because of our conditioned nature. But in both cases, points we do see faults. But if we learn the art of seeing good and appreciating good they have, then we have a sweet relationship. Sometimes we find the same devotee, we may have a better relationship with him, and we may feel, oh, he's so bad, he has so many faults. And then there is another devotee who has a sweet relationship with him. Now, for that devotee, he is all good, and for me, he is all bad. And person is same. He is same person. But for me, when I look at him, he is all bad. For him, when he looks at him, he is all good. Why? Because when he interacts with this person, then this person's better side is coming out. And that is why they have sweet relationship. He is having appreciation. But somehow or other, when my dealings go with this particular devotee, then his bad side comes out. And maybe my bad side also comes out. And that is why we have a bitter relationship. So that is why it is very important that we learn the art of finding good in others, having appreciation for others, having respect for others. Then we will not hurt other living entities. Then we will not take them very casually. And we have to cultivate this attitude. You may say, Prabhuji, but I see so many faults in devotees. How you can say that we have to see good qualities? So it is not that devotees they don't have good qualities. For seeing good qualities, we have to change our vision. We have to change our consciousness. To the extent we are pure, to that extent we can see good in others. One of the symptoms of one's advancement is how much he is able to see good in others. That's why in Updesamrit it is mentioned that what is the symptom of a most advanced devotee? Nindati Sunyam. He is free from a tendency to criticize others. This is one of the tendencies, this is one of the symptom of a pure devotee. That means as one makes advancement, that much he can see positivity, that much he can see goodness in others, that much he can see appreciation in others. And the more one is low in his consciousness, then that much he will see fault and bad qualities. Like a crow, there may be a beautiful garden, And in the beautiful garden, in one corner, there may be a garbage. And there are so many flowers, beautiful flowers with fragrance all around. But there is a garbage in the corner. So when a crow comes, where he will sit? In the garbage. On the other hand, there may be, big pile of garbage, but in one corner, some flowers are there with fragrance. Now, when bumblebee comes, honeybee comes, where she will sit? On the flower. So now you see how much it depends on one's consciousness. If we want to see good, then good exists. And if we don't want to see good, then good does not exist. So depending upon how our consciousness is, accordingly we can see goodness in others. Otherwise, it is very difficult. And our whole Vedic culture is like that. You see, when Dhruv Maharaj was spoken harshly by Mother Suruchi, and although Suniti herself was in such a humble state of heart because she was also neglected by Uttanpal, but still seeing Dhruv Maharaj crying, first thing she says is, don't think bad of Suruchi. Second thing she says is that although she spoke harshly, although she spoke something that you have to take birth from my womb, but one thing which she spoke was very good, that you have to take shelter of Lord Vishnu. So in what speech which Suruchi gave, in that also Suniti found out something good for herself. Like this. So if we don't learn this art of seeing good, finding good, then this is one most important aspect of developing good in us. If you want to develop good, then you have to see devotees and see those good qualities in devotees. Appreciate those good qualities in those devotees. Serve the devotees, and then we get these qualities ourselves also. And we become free from so many negativities, we become free from offensive attitude, offensive tendency. Because generally, what happens, we see bad in others, we see fault in others, and then mind, time and again, is absorbed. And then when opportunity comes, something comes out from our mouth, and then the devotee feels hurt, or we may become insensitive. The devotee feels hurt. So we have to train our mind. Default setting is go for faults, but we have to train our mind. When our mind says, "See, this devotee he has so much fault," then we should tell our mind, "Okay, tell me the two good qualities which this devotee has." Then the mind will say, "क्या good quality? कोई good quality नहीं है." बोला नहीं मैं बाद में आपका बैड क्वालिटी सुनूंगा ही नहीं, बस टू टेल मी व्हाट आर टू गुड क्वालिटीज ही हैज। अगर माइंड एक फॉल्ट देखता है तो हमको फिर दो गुड क्वालिटी जो में ढूंढना चाहिए भक्त में। तो लाइक दिस व्हेन वी ट्रेन, तब आप देखेंगे धीरे धीरे करके फिर आपको ये पूरा जगत क्या लगेगा, आनंदम बुद्धि वर्धनम, कितने अच्छे भक्त हैं, कितना अच्छा वातावरण है, कितना अच्छा माहौल है। बट इफ वी डोंट लर्न द आर्ट ऑफ सीइंग गुड in others, then we will not have this consciousness. Then we will also not grow in our consciousness. So when we see this example of Mahabharata, where Duryodhana was told, you have to find a person who is greater than you, and Vishnu Maharaj was told, you have to find a person who is lesser than you, and both come. And Duryodhana says, "Oh, I could not find a person who was better than me." And Vishnu Maharaj says, "I could not find a person who was lesser than me." Although they went to the same place, they saw same people, but why they are having two opposite reactions? Because of their consciousness. Yudhishthira Maharaj is so elevated, that's why he is able to see elevation in others. Duryodhana is so scooped down in his consciousness, that's why he is able to see all people also down in their consciousness. So in one lecture, Yogi Swami Maharaj says, greatness of a person can be estimated by his ability to see greatness in others. It's a little different than what Srila Prabhupada says. So he says how those who are great people, they see smallness in themselves and they see greatness in others. So one thing is the art of seeing good in others is that We have to train ourselves to see good in others. Another important thing, if you want to see good in others, is we have to see fault in ourselves. So if you want to see greatness in others, we should be able to see smallness in ourselves. And if somebody can do this, then he'll have a natural humility. He'll have a natural humble disposition. He'll be so respectful for others. He'll be so full of appreciation for others. And we see like Sanatan Goswami, when he is coming to Jagannath Puri, so he is not coming through the main pathway, and he is coming through behind, walking over the hot sand. And then Mahaprabhu saw, because he got blisters. Mahaprabhu asked Sanatan Goswami that why you are coming like this. So Sanatan Goswami says, my dear Mahaprabhu, if I would have come from in front, then the air touching me would have touched the pujaris of Jagannath Puri, and then they would have become contaminated. But I am so fallen, I don't want to contaminate the pujaris of Jagannath Puri. So that's why I came through this behind the route. So hearing this, Mahaprabhu becomes so happy and he cries how humble Sanatana Goswami is. And why is feeling so humble about himself? That why I am so fallen? Because at one time I worked under a Malicha. Malicha means one who eats meat. So he is feeling so humble that because I served under a Malicha, I am so fallen. And this was long back. After that, now he has become a Goswami. And he has become a personal associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is given a special service in Vrindavan. Still, he is remembering that. So you'll find this is the beauty of these great souls. Any weakness they have, any fault they have, any mistake they have done, they never forget that. And thinking about it, they remain very humble. And when they look at others, they forget their mistakes. And they look them with the appreciation, with the good qualities. And we see Sanatana Goswami being so humble. Like, our devotees, when we come to spiritual life, now here he is saying that because I served under Malicha, that's why I became fallen. So most of us, whichever company we work, our boss must be eating meat, is it not? Hardly and very difficult to find a master who is not eating meat. That means we are also serving under Malicha. But none of us feel that, oh, I'm so fallen because I'm serving under Malicha. We feel so proud, Prabhuji, मैं इस कंपनी में काम करता हूँ, ISKCON में काम करता हूँ मैं. और गर्व से बताते भी हैं, Prabhuji worked for 2 years in ISKCON. After that, for thinking about serving Krishna, he dedicated his life. और उसको भी बहुत अच्छा लगता है, हाँ, इतना कुछ छोड़ के आया मैं. But Sanatana Goswami is feeling so humble. Many of our devotees before coming to spiritual life, they were eating meat. Correct? बकरे का टांग, मुर्गे का सिर, सब खाया है. और but after becoming a devotee, we forget our past. We forget that what all bad we have done, how fallen we are. And then because of that, we lose that humility. So if we can see smallness in oneself and greatness in others, then we become great in eyes of Krishna and Guru. So we have to train ourselves in such a way. We have this tendency to see fault, but we have to doubt that tendency to see fault in oneself. And we have to doubt this tendency to see good in others. You see how careful we are to find good in ourselves. थोड़ा सा भी कहीं कुछ होगा, अरे उधर देखो कोई नहीं था तो मैंने ऑफरिंग किया था. क्यों नहीं, मेरे जैसा भक्त कहाँ रहेगा प्रभु. कितना डिटेल याद रहता है जो भी हमने अच्छा कार्य किया होता है. करेक्ट. उस टाइम पे रात के 10 बज गए थे, सबको नींद आ रही थी, फिर मैंने सोचा मैं मॉपिंग कर देता हूँ. फिर मैंने पूरा मॉपिंग किया. इतना सेल्फलेसनेस कहाँ दिखाई देता है आजकल. But when it comes to seeing good in others, even if we see some devotee extending, mind क्या बोलता है, ठीक है, कौन सी बड़ी बात है, हर कोई कर लेता है, कोई बड़ी बात है. Then we see a devotee taking up some spiritual life very seriously. तो माइंड क्या बोलता है, ठीक है देखते हैं कितना दिन चलेगा. नया नया है, नया नया मुल्ला जोर से चिल्लाता है. But we fail to appreciate that, oh, he genuinely trying to become more serious in his spiritual life. So we have to cultivate this art, then we will not have this ahimsa. When we have appreciation for others, when we have respect for others, then we can protect ourselves from ahimsa and offenses towards others. Otherwise, it will become difficult. And also, it is a very important part to cultivate good qualities in us also. That we are able to see good in others, we are able to appreciate those good qualities in others. If we do this, then Krishna will bless us to have the same good quality. So that is why we have to see that how we see good in others. And if not, then we see the law of nature is very powerful, and then it will impose old age, disease, death upon the living creature. And there will be difficulties. Therefore, if somehow or other one can convince others to surrender to Krishna and thus release themselves from a violent laws of material nature, that is the perfection of ahimsa. So this is one aspect of violence, not hurting others. Another aspect of violence is not helping others when you are in a position to help them. Like suppose an accident happens and you are standing and the person is bleeding and you are not going and helping, then that also comes under violence. So Srila Prabhupada says, now in our case we know that how Krishna consciousness is a solution. Now, when we see people suffering devoid of Krishna consciousness, and we have ability to give this Krishna consciousness to others, and if we are not doing so, then that also is a part of violence. Srila Prabhupada takes it in a more deeper sense that not preaching also comes under violence. So, as per our ability, as much we can, we should try. And it is true to great extent that sometimes if we don't preach where we can preach, then we find that that particular person losing his life or going in wrong direction. Once I was sitting on one station on the platform, and suddenly I saw one young guy. He came and he stood on one railway track and he was smoking like this. So I thought, why is he doing so? Then I thought maybe he just, showing himself. But when the train will come, he will go. Now the train came, still he was standing in front. Then I thought maybe he might have seen some movie. At last moment, he will come out. I was just sitting like this. But then later I realized he actually wanted to commit suicide. So he kept standing there, train came and hit him, and his whole body was torn into pieces and spread on the platform. Then I was feeling that if only I knew, I would have went and helped him, would have given him something. But because I could not realize what he wanted to do. So many times we see that small help to people can save their life. And sometimes if we are in a position to help and if we don't help, then it may ruin their life. So preaching also is very helpful. Preaching also is very important to protect the people. And then this is a very important aspect he is saying. Samatvam dvand samdeyo. Not getting affected by the dualities of this world. This world is made in such a way that here is dvandva. Samatvam dvandva samdeyo. Duality exists in the material world. But we have to live our life in a way where we don't get affected by the duality of this world. So we have to keep a cool head. Prabhupada is using a very beautiful word. Prabhupada disciples. You have to keep a cool head when these dualities they come. So the nature of this material world is like this. So how to deeply understand this aspect of duality? If you see so-called happiness and you become happy in that happiness, then be ready to become that much unhappy also. That is the meaning of duality. If something happens in your life and you are so happy, Prabhu, I did it, I got it, then be ready to suffer also that much. If someone becomes too happy when summer comes, then that means he has to become unhappy when winter comes. And surely after summer, soon winter will come. Same way, if someone is very happy when winter comes, and that much he has to become unhappy when summer comes. So that is the meaning of duality. Happiness follows distress, and distress follows happiness. Don't become happy in happiness, and don't become unhappy in distress. That is meaning of not getting affected by the duality of the material world. We hear this one story that the king, he, um, the king was looking for a gift. That by seeing this gift, if I'm unhappy, I'll become happy. If I'm happy, I'll become unhappy. So he told, if someone can give a gift like this to me, I'll be so happy. So then all the people they go, and so then one person he brings a ring, and on the ring it was written that shall to pass. ये समय तुरंत चला जाएगा. So if king is happy and if he looks at the ring that shall to pass, then he will become unhappy. And if he is unhappy and he reads it, then he will become happy like this. So the bad times they come, they go. Good times they come, they go. So that is the meaning of this dvanda. And same thing Krishna also says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. See, this is 2.14 and which is 2.13 verse. 2.13 before before this Krishna is talking about that we are not body, we are soul. And then here Krishna is saying that we have to tolerate. So although we are not body, we are soul, but it takes time to come to that understanding. Till then, we have to tolerate the dualities of the material world. So Krishna is saying, Matra sparstu kaunteya shitoshna sudugdaha agama apaino anityas tam striksha bhartana. He's telling the touch of the sense with the sense object brings happiness and distress. But don't worry too much about it. Why? Agama, it comes. Apaino, it goes. Anityas, it is temporary. Tan titiksha bharataha. So, perfect. So, why this verse Krishna is speaking like this? Because we get so affected by the dualities of this world that we sometimes forget the purpose of this world. We get so affected, and you see our chanting also early morning, which we do, many times get so affected by the duality which we are undergoing, and we are not able to take shelter of the Lord. So as far as these dualities are concerned, knowing that this is the nature of this world, this nature is a dual. So don't become so happy by this. Don't become so unhappy by this, like this. In English, there is a saying that life is like a army parade. At one shout of U-turn, first becomes the last, last becomes the first. Like there's army parade going on. There is a person who is first, who is ahead. And he's thinking, see, I'm the best of all. I'm in front. I'm so successful. And there's a person who is behind. And then the sound comes, U-turn. And now last becomes the first and the first becomes the last. That is how life is. So if you become too proud that see I am first, I am first, I am first, and that much you suffer when you become last. It is not. So that is why not becoming too attached to the happiness of this world, not becoming too averse to the misery of this world is very important to steady practice spiritual life. If we become too affected by the dualities of this world, then we'll have a lot of difficulties. We should not become too attached, knowing that this happiness is temporary. Like you find sometimes the bubbles, soap bubbles, they come, and you become so happy with the soap bubble. अरे देखिए प्रभु जी कितना बड़ा सोप बबल है, इसमें तो कलर भी आ रहा है. और जितना आप हैप्पी बनेंगे तब तक वो फूल जाएगा. फिर आप रोएंगे, क्या हो गया, इतना अच्छा बबल था, मैं फोटो भी नहीं ले पाया, चला गया. Material life is like this. Our purpose is don't make a house of castle on the seashore. Soon the waves will come and everything will be demolished. If you become too attached, मैंने 4 story बनाया है, इसमें अटैच बाथ भी है, हॉल भी है, इसमें ग्राउंड फ्लोर में भी इतना बड़ा हॉल दिया है, लेकिन जब वेव्स आएंगी तो वो सारे फ्लोर को लेके चली जाएंगी, एक भी हॉल नहीं बचेगा ऐसे. So we have to know that material world is like this, and it is dukhalyam, asaswatam, it has dunda, it has uncertainty, it is deceptive. So because of all these aspects, one person should not become too happy by happiness, and should not become too distressed by so-called distress. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks very nice. He says, "Ei bhala, ei manda, tabo mano brahma." He says, in the material world, if you think that this is good, this is bad, that is all is mental imagination. In one way, nothing is good because everything is binding to the material nature, is it not? In another way, everything is good because everything can help one to revive his Krishna consciousness. In one way, it is a mixture of both. So sometimes it will give you some so-called happiness, and sometimes it will give you so-called unhappiness. So that's why it is all mental imagination. So devotee of the Lord, he does not become too affected by this. He wants to practice spirituality. He wants to take shelter of Krishna. He wants to revive his Krishna consciousness. And he knows that these are temporary things. They come and go, they remain for a while. But my life is temporary. My time is temporary with me, like this. So we see like, and if we are not focusing on this, then we keep taking bodies. And see how many, Lord has such variety, 84 lakh varieties. So many bodies Krishna has to facilitate our desire to enjoy in the material world. Yeah, here this particular verse ends.